So welcome. This is Journey of a Donation. Uh, Today, I'm going to be leading the session along with Ricardo. If you were in the intro, you already got this, but hey, I'm Zach Bronstein. I'm Endaoment's Chief Operating Officer. And with me today is Ricardo Padroni, Chief Technology Officer. We're really excited that you're here. Anytime to do any kind of education is something that is really thrilling for both Ricardo and I. Ricardo used to be a professor. I never made it that far, but was a teacher. And to be engaged in kind of teaching and learning is just exciting for us. It's stuff that we do internally, and we're happy to do it externally with you folks as well. As we go through this, please feel free to put any questions, comments, concerns, etc., in the webinar chat. We probably won't be interrupting the flow as we're going through the presentation, but certainly we will have time at the end. We have about an hour allotted for this session. Our portion of the presentation should take a little bit less than half of that time, so we have plenty of time for additional discussion and question and answer. All right, so what are we going to be doing today? We'll be talking a little bit about crypto, about wallets, and how this all comes together. We're going to be giving you folks a live demo of how things work in Endaoment. We're going to talk briefly about the different kinds of assets that are accepted at Endaoment. It's not just cryptocurrency on inflows. And we'll also be talking specifically about what the donation experience is like for donors. Then we're going to do a little bit of crypto demystification. We're going to be using some words like wallet and smart contract and blockchain, and we'll be doing our best to demystify and explain those concepts at their simplest level. We're going to be talking a little bit about the universal impact pool, which is a really cool, unique feature that we've developed at Endaoment. And finally, we have a request for all of you, for organization admins that are on this call looking to get set up. All right, so let's jump right in. The most important top line item is that it has always and will always cost $0 to get your organization set up on Endaoment. We created Endaoment because we wanted to make sure that 501c3s, nonprofits, could be able to raise money in the form of cryptocurrency without needing to go out and hire a cryptocurrency expert, without needing to understand how wallets or smart contracts work, and just to be able to accept it when it arrives. That also means they can get set up before they know that they have cryptocurrency donors to make sure that when those cryptocurrency donors show up, they don't have to first figure out, hey, we're not sure what to deal with you, but they can say, hey, we've already got set up on Endaoment. Here's how you can make donations of Ethereum, Bitcoin, other cryptocurrencies. We already know what to expect. And that's always what donors want to hear, because they want to know that they're doing something that is comfortable for the organization and not just something that is kind of handy and comfortable for them. So let's dive right in. I'm going to take you through a donation demo. I'll talk to you a little bit about different aspects of the endowment process, and also just the process of what is crypto? How do I log in with a wallet? What does it even mean to log in with a wallet? And if you give me one moment, I'll be switching screens here. All right. So on my screen, what you see right now is the Endaoment app main page. You'll notice that up in this upper right-hand corner, it shows an address, and all addresses for Ethereum wallets start 0x, and then there are a bunch of letters and numbers. What that means is that I've already gone in here and logged in with my wallet. What does that mean? What is a wallet? A wallet is essentially a plugin inside of your web browser, in this instance, inside of Chrome, where you have your digital wallet with digital assets inside of it. And if I click on this tokens tab here, this particular wallet integration is called MetaMask. You can see that I have some Ethereum and some USD coin and bridged USD coin. Not important that you know what those tokens are. Important that you know that there exists this concept of cryptocurrency wallet. You log into Endaoment either with a cryptocurrency wallet or with a social login like Google or Discord or with your email. And that establishes your profile on Endaoment. If I were to go over to dashboard, and again, this is we're showing you a donor experience of someone who's used Endaoment before. You can see that using this wallet, I have two donor advised funds over here on the left, Zach's Fund #1 and Zach Space Fund. I am not the creative person on the team. That's where these fund names come from. And in addition, you can see all recent activity that I've engaged with on Endaoment. Some of that has been donations, some of that has been grants, and some of that has been allocations into portfolios. At standard donor advised funds, when you have a fund, you want to invest that capital so it builds over time. In that same fashion, we have a number of different portfolios on Endaoment, both on-chain crypto portfolios, as well as traditional portfolios that should look pretty familiar if you are familiar with the equity space, the SDPR, S&P 500, ETF trust, an aggregate bond index, treasury bills, things like that, all alongside things like wrapped Bitcoin or Ethereum or on-chain money markets like Aave and Compound. So let's back up a little bit. That was the donor experience, looking at the donor dashboard, figuring out what the wallet looks like. But let's actually go through the process and see what the experience is like when you're actually making a donation to a nonprofit organization. So today, we're going to be looking at a donation to a really wonderful organization that Endaoment has never worked with before. And I intentionally chose one that we've never worked with before. You'll see why in a few minutes. Dogs to Dog Tags Incorporated. Essentially, they save at-risk dogs, train them, and then place them with service members that have some post-combat stress or anxiety like PTSD. A pretty wonderful organization that is good for both dogs and veterans. Double thumbs up over here. So as you can see, we are on the organization's profile page. And a couple of really important things here. First, the URL app.endaoment.org/the organization's EIN. We wanted to keep it really easy to navigate to different organizations, which you can do by typing in their name or EIN into the search bar or inputting their EIN here in this URL, either with or without the dash. It works both ways. In addition, that EIN is also on this page. And as you'll see later, it's actually also baked into this organization's smart contract. We'll get that later when we go through the crypto demystification. Other information on this page, we pull in the organization's NTEE code, which is the code assigned by the IRS that classifies the organization according to their NTEE taxonomy. We also pull in the physical address of the organization with a nice little link to Google Maps. And then we bring in a bit of financial information based on the most recently filed 990 with GuideStar. As you can see here, this is the 990 from 2022 for Dogs to Dog Tags Incorporated. Just a number of hard metrics that are helpful for folks as they are evaluating the financial well-being of an organization. And we wanted to make that all really transparent and available for folks. Okay, so now let's actually go through the donation process. We found the organization. We know that we want to give to this organization, and it's time to donate. And you can see over here, total donations, 0, 0 donations, and 0 grants. This is an organization that has not received any donations from anyone on Endaoment until now. So let's see what that process looks like. So when I click Donate Now, you'll see that there are lots of options for giving to any specific organization. And let's just go through them one by one. You can give using cash or fiat. We work very closely with Stripe to allow donors to hook up their bank account, their credit or debit card, or even to use payment apps like Apple Pay in order to make a donation to a nonprofit. We also accept stocks and securities. We actually have a really great relationship with the Giving Block. You may remember them from 20 minutes ago in the intro section. They allow us to receive stocks, to liquidate them, and move them into the fund. We also can manage donations of privately held assets, things like some form of interest in a privately held company that has not yet gone through its IPO, is not publicly traded on the NASDAQ. You can still make donations of those type of assets with us. Of course, we do accept crypto and digital assets. We'll return to that in a minute because we will see a donation end to end for crypto. And then finally, we also allow people to make gifts from their donor advised funds. After all, that is the whole purpose of a donor advised fund, to make donations in and to make grants out. And if I clicked on this, it would automatically show you a list of all of the funds that I, as the donor, have control over. And I would choose one of them to make a grant to this organization, Dogs to Dog Tags. But let's talk about crypto in particular. So if I click on crypto or digital assets, you'll see that there's a second selection. There are 3 different types of crypto assets that we accept, or really 3 different avenues to accept crypto assets. And I'm actually going to go from the bottom up because the first option is the one that we're going to be going through today. First, we allow folks to make donations of NFTs. Whether that is an NFT generative mint that has not happened before, or someone is in possession, they own an NFT and want to donate it, we're happy to receive that, to go through a auction process, auction off that NFT, liquidate that NFT essentially, and move that money to this organization. We're also happy to accept crypto from centralized exchanges or cold storage. So we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves into the crypto demystification section, but all of this, the entire endowment apparatus, lives on the Ethereum blockchain. And that means that any asset on the Ethereum blockchain can be donated to any one of the organizations that we've set up here. That said, there are plenty of other blockchains that are not Ethereum, most notably among them, Bitcoin. People who have Bitcoin can still make donations of their Bitcoin to any specific organization on endowment simply by selecting this option. For today, however, we're going to be using our browser-connected EVM wallet. That's that MetaMask wallet, this little fox head that I was talking about before. And we're going to see what that looks like. Let's make a donation of Ethereum. So once I click on that, we're brought to this really nice modal where you can select the asset that you want to give. You can see it's brought to the top Ether and USD coin, which are the 2 assets that I have in my wallet. I want to donate Ether, which is great. Also worth noting, we natively accept in-app well over 1,000 different cryptocurrency tokens. And our motto is, if you have it and there's a liquid market for it, we'll take it. We'll figure it out. That means that we've taken crypto assets that you've all heard of, and we've also taken crypto assets that until the donor came to us asking to donate it, no one on our team had ever heard of, which is always an exciting thing to go through. So let's see what the process would be like if I wanted to donate 0.02 Ether. So you can see it's going to immediately calculate a price output. 0.02 ETH is going to give me about $51.74. Let's keep going. So I have already used the app before, so you can see that my tax information is already pre-filled here. If it wasn't, I could fill it in. And if I didn't want to receive a tax receipt for this donation, I would not have to. In this case, I don't need to update my profile with this information because it's already here, but I do want to share my email with the recipient organization because it's important to me that they know who the donor is. And perhaps they want to reach out to me and thank me for the donation or chat with me after the fact. Click proceed. And immediately, we're taken to the final window where it's showing a summary of all actions that we're about to take. A 0.02 ETH donation with estimated proceeds of about $50.81. And it gives us some details about the Uniswap fee. Uniswap is the service we use to actually swap one token for another. More on that from Ricardo later. They take a small fee, and there's also an endowment fee. Importantly, let's pause and talk about endowment fees. We take a combined 1.5% fee, 0.5%, 50 basis points when the donation comes into our application, and 1%, 100 basis points when the donation flows out of our organization to a nonprofit, right? In this instance, because we're going direct to a nonprofit, both of those fees are applied at once. And if you did the math, 1.5% of $50.81 is just about 77 cents. So let's click donate. What you'll see here is that automatically it brings up my MetaMask window along with this additional extension called Fire Wallet, which is a a security analysis add-on that just says, hey, this looks fine. Here's the output of your transaction so you know what you're clicking. And in my wallet, it says, hey, you're about to send 0.02 ETH. It's going to cost to make this transaction from my wallet 0 cents, which is great. Love to see low cost transactions on the blockchain. And all that I'm going to do is I'm going to hit confirm. That's it. So now in the background, what's happening is that funds are going from my wallet into the dogs to dog tag smart contract. They're being exchanged for USDC, which is a US dollar equivalent. You can already see the fireworks went off. The donation has completed. If I scroll to the bottom of this page, you'll see that this page is already updated with recent activity. This is my wallet, donated 0.02 ETH, which was $50.98, a little bit better than the $50.87 that we quoted. We always try to quote pessimistically so that it is a kind of happy day at the end here. What's really wonderful and currently processing on the background, there it is that every single gift that is made on Endaoment is looked at by the universal impact pool and quadratically matched. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. That activity is here, but let me turn it over to Ricardo to talk a little bit about crypto demystification, and then eventually to return to what is going on with this universal impact pool and why should you care?
Beautiful. Thank you for all that. Beautiful segue over to I'll talk about crypto. So Zach, just one thing before we go ahead. I think maybe your screen share did not include the MetaMask. And Brusha and Mariah, maybe you confirm for me that did the MetaMask appear or didn't appear when Zach was sharing the screen? So I was under the impression that it did not appear. And we'll figure it out anyways. So Zach, just make sure that you're sharing your whole screen and not just that specific window, because I think MetaMask did not appear. Cool.
My bad.
So let us. No, you're good. You're very much good, my friend. So let's talk about crypto and demystification. So if you've been involved into the crypto world, if you just wet your feet just a bit, there are a couple of terms that you definitely heard about, but maybe you did not go into detail of what exactly they are. So we're going to talk really fast about 4 things that, well, 3 concepts, and finally blockchain itself that definitely makes sense to understand at least a bit if you want to enter the crypto world. First concept here is called wallet. Second one we're going to talk about is smart contracts. And finally, we're going to talk about a swap. So let's talk about wallets. And Zach, if you could share your screen again in your browser, we could go back to wallet. While we wait on that, you guys probably remember that Zach mentioned in the beginning that he's using a specific wallet called MetaMask. And let's see if it pops up this time. Okay, cool. For me, it's appearing here. Yep, confirm it's appearing also. Perfect. So this whole thing here, this whole little pop-up that appeared in Zach's screen that's installed in his browser is what we call a wallet. And there are multiple analogies for when we try to explain what exactly a wallet is. There's some analogies to talk about, compare it to a wallet you carry in your pocket where you have assets inside of it and so forth. There are other analogies also that are in regards to, it could be a USB protected pen drive where only you know the password, so forth. But for me, I personally really like the analogy with a bank account. So when we think about your bank account, right, there are basically 2 sets of information that are super relevant to interact with your bank account. The first one of them is, let's say I want to receive a payment. I have a client and I want to receive a payment. What I would do, I would get my my bank public information, which would be my bank number, or let's say first the bank itself. So it's bank ABC with checking account 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that information, you could share that with anyone, right? Especially if we receive some money, you would have to share that information with possibly a client, for example. And really, when you think about that number, first thing you notice that there's a quality of it, which is it's public. It's something that you could share. There's no problem at all. There's no risk sharing your bank. Well, there's certain risk. Let's say that just the number itself is not something that's if someone knows that you have a bank account 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it doesn't really give that much more information besides, okay, that person has a account in that bank. So it's something you can usually share with people, and there is an issue with it. Do note though that that is something that is shareable, but there's also another attribute that is super interesting here, which is it has to be unique, right? It doesn't make sense for 2 bank accounts to have the same number, because let's say that someone sends assets over to that bank, to that specific number. What would happen? Would it go to one account, the other account? So there's the second attribute, which is the uniqueness of that specific number. And all this, again, you could share this, you could pass over, you could send it to friends, and there isn't a problem. And we like to relate that when we talk about wallets to a term called public key. So if you look at Zach's wallet right now, you're going to see a little number right there. So the 0x298 ending in 2B3, which this is derived from Zach's public key. And you also might have heard the term address. So this is Zach's wallet's address. And this is a number that we're sharing this right now on this live participation, but Zach could share this number with anyone right there. It's right there, no problem at all. This does not compromise Zach's wallet or anything. It really is similar to your bank account where you're going to share your bank's checking account number. This is something you would share. Let's say that Zach, I owe Zach lunch money and I got to send him 10 USDCs. So I would send it to this address exactly. He would send me this number. I would say transfer to this address and everything would be perfect. So that's the public part of the wallet. When we go back to the bank account example, having just the public information, like having what is the checking number of the ACH or whatever your account has, that does not give you control over that account, right? What does give you control really is for most modern banking is some type of secret information, which typically would be a password. So when you go into your bank site, there's going to be like, oh, my account is 12345, and then you have to enter the password where this is something only you know, or hopefully only you know this, because once you have the password, that is where you have access and control over that specific account. Likewise, when we talk about wallets, what controls this specific account here is the part where we call the private key. And Zachary, please do not press that button because if you did, that is basically exposing your password, your control to the world, at least the people that are here right now. We would know who it was. But anyways, definitely do not share your private key with anyone else. And this is the part in the blockchain world where it gives you the power to sign a transaction. So it's basically, it's the way you prove that you own that specific public account. So really your private key equated to your password in your bank account. It's not shareable, but it is the thing that gives you both the access to it and proves the ownership over it for, in our case here, the public blockchain. So that in a nutshell is what we consider a wallet, and that's how you control your assets in this blockchain world. So Zach, thank you for demonstrating your specific wallet there. And Zach, through this wallet here, he could transfer assets, he could donate. For example, he did all this operation here through his wallet because we didn't see this, but behind the scenes, this wallet here was signing a transaction to do that specific donation. And the blockchain knows it was Zach because behind the scenes, the private key was used to sign that transaction. And that's the whole beauty of this. This all happens in a way where, though it is pretty complicated, there are lots of steps here that are kind of hidden from us. And that's where the crypto part of cryptography and cryptocurrencies comes from, where all this math, this crazy math that us nerds, we love this, but sometimes it's too overwhelming for people who are just entering the scene, happens. Lots of math here and lots of crypto happening behind the scenes. Cool, Zachary, thanks for that. So let's talk about the second concept that is super relevant when you talk about blockchains, which are smart contracts. So smart contract, the analogy I most like, and I think, Zach, you share with me this likeness of this analogy, is the vending machine. So when you think about a vending machine, it's basically it's a machine where there's going to be an interface between a user and some program, this machine, right? Where there are expectations of how these rules work. Let's say I enter $1 for a specific soda. If that soda is only $3, the machine will keep waiting for me to input more money, right? So that's one of the rules, that I have to match the value of what it's selling. If I then put the rest of the $2 there, the machine could spit out the soda. Or let's assume that the soda is it's unavailable, it's not in the machine anymore. What would happen is that the rule is specific. Let's say that the rule for this vending machine is that if you put in the money, you select a soda that does not exist, it returns you the change, it returns you the money you put in, and nothing really happens, right? But there are specific rules for these interactions. And what's super interesting is that as a user, you have expectations of how this machine works. And the smart contract, the analogy is interesting because that's pretty much how you do it also, where Zach right now is demonstrating what the smart contract for an org on Endaoment is like. And if you go to, Zach, mind going to like the read contract as proxy, the second one right there, these are basically the interfaces you can interact with this specific smart contract. But what is very, very cool about the blockchain, and that's, I think, why people like me are so enticed into this world, is that in the case of the vending machine, everything is opaque, right? You really don't know how the vending machine works. You kind of trust it works in a specific way, but there are multiple examples. If you go into a vending machine, your change is stuck. There's a little plaque saying, hey, under maintenance, out of order, etc. The beauty of blockchain is that the whole inner workings of a smart contract are here. So anyone that has some savviness in terms of understanding code. So Zach, mind going back to the code tab right there? You can see what this org contract is. So all the code of how we handle orgs, how we handle donations, how a swap, the donation goes from a specific asset to another asset. Every single line, every single step of it is all here for the whole world to see. There's no, and also people could see this. And maybe even the cooler part about this is that no one can change this. Once it's on the blockchain, even us, we were the people of the team that behind deploying this, putting this on the blockchain, we can't change this. This is the beauty of the immutability of blockchains. And if you ever heard the term code is law, it has to do with that, because what is written here, independent of who I am, what you do, or some specific role or function in some company, doesn't matter if you work at Coca-Cola, you're the US government. And that's why I think big corps and governments are kind of scared about the whole world of blockchain, is that it really gives power to a whole system that no one centrally governs. And that's also the power of blockchains with smart contracts, where the rule is it's written here, it works that way. If it's not written here, it doesn't work that way. So really code is law for this. Cool. Talking about, so that's smart contracts. Let's talk specifically about swaps. So swap, given that we have smart contracts that can do different things, so the code is the law, a swap is nothing more than smart contracts interacting to swap one specific asset into another specific asset. So when Zach, he's showing you right here, when he did that donation, behind the scenes, what we were doing is his wallet was calling the organization smart contract, and that smart contract was talking to another smart contract called Uniswap, or a set of smart contracts called Uniswap. And Uniswap, you might get from the name, is a protocol focused on swapping assets. So we entered Ethereum, we got out USDC, which is a US dollar representation on chain. And all this happened in a way where there was no human involved, right? The swap itself just happened because the rules were in place. So Uniswap constructed their protocol in a way where if people interact with it, you could have token A in, token B out, in our case, Ethereum and USDC. And really, it was just happened through the rules that are implemented there. You're going to notice also that Zach had Ethereum, right, in his wallet. But this USDC that came out of this transaction, this didn't belong to us. It was someone else's that was willing to put their USDC into this contract, this protocol, and they were willing to allow people to trade Ethereum for this specific USDC. So that's another very important point of blockchain, is that you have participants from the whole world. And right now, we did this interaction without knowing who owned this USDC. It might have been someone from my lovely country, Brazil. It might be someone from Europe, could be from Africa, from the US. You have no idea of knowing, but the fact that anyone can participate to this, and they could put their assets in it, they could invest in different things, they could interact, deploy things to it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful because it really is. There's no one saying you can or can't. It really is. It's an open playground where we're all experiencing different things, and in our case, we're hopefully making the best possible charitable giving platform out there. So really, that's a swap also in a nutshell there. Beautiful. Talk about blockchains. What do we want to focus on? So I already raised a couple of the points here, but I'd probably raise, and Zach, feel free to pitch in if you also see other points in regards to why is this so relevant, and why are we as a company, and you probably know of multiple other companies are investing so much time and focusing specifically on blockchains, Ethereum, Bitcoin, etc. It's because one of the qualities that we see here, and we're showing this whole process with you live, right, is the transparency this brings, especially for financial applications like ours. So one big problem with organizations is that sometimes it's a black box, right? Things happen, donations enter, but it's really kind of a trust mechanism. And the interesting part, especially of endowment, and we could definitely, this is probably worth a whole section on its own. But for example, our own audits are very much based on people looking at the blockchain, because everything that's happening with us, so donations coming in, grants and payouts going out, this is all recorded on this public ledger where anyone could access this, anyone could look at this, and it's all there for the world to see, and also for the world to participate. So really this transparency, this accountability that this brings, this public ledger brings for everyone is really fantastic. And again, that's why we're so invested in this, and so many other companies are invested in this. One other attribute I'd love thinking about also is composability. So we talked about Uniswap right now, right? So that is a platform that exists independent if we're using them or not. They are on this specific blockchain, and we plugged in our contracts to talk to or to interact with the Uniswap contracts. And there really isn't any permission to do that. They're not they really can't say, oh, we won't allow you to do this. It really is smart contracts, a platform that was deployed on the blockchain, and anyone that wants to interact with that, anyone can. So you start thinking about the possibilities. And again, we are very much in the beginning of this crazy journey of blockchains and Ethereum and so forth. How many use cases and wacky things and innovative things are going to come because of this composability, where different platforms could talk to this platform, that could talk to this one, that could do something wild with this one, and so forth. So right now we're showing a pretty straightforward example of we are doing a swap with a established swapping protocol. But you start thinking about other use cases of maybe there's some matching mechanism that could happen for every donation. Maybe there's some use case where someone else, let's say it's not even us, like a third party wants to start minting NFTs for everyone that donates things. They can do that because all our donors, all our donations are public here. So maybe some third party application that wants to benefit the grants are going to orgs, wants to mint NFT for them. That is possible. So really it's kind of limitless, the possibilities of what can be done given the fact that we compose all these blocks together. And it's really like kind of a wacky Lego world where we're very much experimenting different things. And again, that's I think as obviously as a CTO, but really as someone that's tech involved, the possibilities it opens up it's mind-boggling at the same time, very exciting to be here so early in all this stage. So last but not least, I'd say that one thing I care dearly about, and orgs should probably care also, is in regards to this is open access. Anyone can do this. So if you are a person that lives in Australia, you could do a donation to your organization. I live in Brazil. I could help an org I care about. Really, there is no borders for this. Things happen nearly instantly. So there's no, everyone probably passes through the pain of, I want to transfer money to some family member in another country. The costs, the time it takes to all this happen is ridiculous. And this is a system where if Zach transfers me, I transferred Zach Ether right before this conversation. It took 5 seconds. And it's all there. No fees, no one in the middle, just a system that works. And you could trace the whole thing happening here, 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 landing there. It's just there. So really, it's again, it seems so nerdy, but really, I get excited because this is all like the basis of what we do and why we care so much about all these systems. Speaking of wacky and use cases and things we could do with this beautiful, beautiful blockchain, Zach, mind going over to our universal impact? Oh, even better. Look at this. So one thing that we are leveraging with Endaoment, and this is something that I'd say all orgs should care about, but especially orgs that maybe are starting off their usage of Endaoment, is that Zach did a $50 donation, but through the so-called universal impact pool, or what we call lovingly the UIP, they are eligible when this round ends for possibly a grant of $105. So this is not the $50 there. This is plus $105 because we implemented a matching mechanism on chain that automatically views this, sorry, based on all donations that happen in this quarter. So what we want to do with the UIP is we want to have let people have a vote. That's how we like to think about it, of people voting through their donations to help the orgs they most care about. And again, this could be orgs that are humongous, but it could be orgs that are tiny. And you're going to see a couple of examples of orgs that are not really well-established orgs. They're orgs that sometimes are just grassroots, they're starting, but they have like a decent social following, or maybe sometimes they're just getting to crypto. But you're going to notice that some of these matching values are very high based on the amount of donations are happening. So we like to think that we shouldn't only help organizations that are receiving high quantities. So in terms of money, just one org received 10 million, no one else can get anything. We like to think that we're helping also orgs that are reaching out to people and doing even the smaller actions and smaller impacts. So every single donation here counts, and that's why you're going to see some orgs that sometimes receive small donations but receive a larger quantity, getting matches that are much larger than those actual values. So for the example we give was $50 that are now matching with $100. So really the UIP is our wacky contribution to all of this. Yeah, let's see. There you go. Dogs a dog tagging. And that's just the beginning. There's so much more that we could expand on here, but really, really love the UIP and think it's a super useful use case of blockchain and endowment for orgs. which I think is a good segue for you, Zachary.
Yes. So as Ricardo has said, 100% of every donation or grants from donor advised funds to organizations made on endowment is eligible for a universal impact pool match. To expand on what he was saying, we wanted to make sure that we created a system where money wasn't just following money, but money was following community signal. And we view community signal as people deciding to show up on endowment and make donations to individual organizations. It's a really wonderful project in my mind that we've created. And every quarter for the last 4 quarters, we've granted out 25% of the current balance of the universal impact pool. Obviously, 25% gets smaller and smaller as you keep granting more out, but we've gotten additional donations to the universal impact pool. So this current quarter's allocation is going to be just under $19,000 at minimum. Maybe more donations come in and it goes up. Fantastic. What we've seen that's been really wonderful for a couple of these organizations is some organizations are looking to take advantage of the universal impact pool, and we support that. If you are an organization that wants to drive all of your activity through endowment, you will get an outsized portion of the universal impact pool if there are sufficient donations happening on the endowment platform, which is just like a really wonderful, exciting tool for us to essentially get that flywheel spinning and not stopping, right? Let me go back to my keynote and we can talk a little bit more. So as I said, 100% of every donation and grant is UIP quadratic match eligible, and quadratic match is really match with some math. And it's that math that allows us to place more emphasis on individual, unique donations, right? If it's one donor breaking up $1,000 into 10 $100 gifts, that counts as one single donation. But otherwise, for every unique donor and unique donation that comes in, your match is going to increase, which is just really cool and just something that we've been really happy with and gotten a lot of great feedback about, both from nonprofits as well as donors. All right, so now we're going to talk through my ask for you all as organization admins. And I'm just going to share my screen one more time. So let's go back to the organization that we were talking about before, Dogs to Dog Tags Incorporated, right? You can see that the information on this page is now enriched. It has my $50 and change donation, which shows up here, one donation, $50.98 total donations. And also we have this universal impact pool card that ticks down based on distribution timing, which is always distributed at the end of the quarter. Mariah, if you could spotlight my screen again, just to make sure it's shared, that would be cool. So on this page, I'll just wait until it's on the screen. Mariah, are you there?
I am. Bit of a technical difficulty. One moment.
No problem. So let me keep talking about the universal impact pool while I get that sorted. Something that's also really cool about the universal impact pool is that it does not matter if the donation is crypto or if the donation is stock or if the donation is cash. As long as the donation flows through endowment, it is 100% UIP match eligible. All right, so now we're back to the Dogs to Dog Tags Incorporated page. And you can see here's the enriched information I was talking about, number of donations and grants, recent activity, and the universal impact pool card. Importantly, there is this little URL link here. Is this your organization? So here is my ask for all of you, if you haven't done so already. Please head to Endaoment, navigate to your organization's page, which you can get there through use of throwing the EIN into the URL bar and replacing this EIN, or putting your EIN or the name of your organization in the search bar. And you'll always be able to verify that you're looking at the right organization, even if there are multiple organizations that have similar names, by knowing and checking that EIN. Once you do that, click on, is this your organization? If you don't see that there, it means that you or one of your colleagues has already claimed the org. But essentially what that allows you to do is to set up a wire claim or a wallet claim. 99% of the time, orgs are not set up to receive money in their cryptocurrency wallet, so wire claim. But essentially, you're going to come here, you're going to click this link, and you're going to be guided step by step through our wire claim wizard in order to provide us information about who you are as the organization admin, so we can get in touch with you, and also so we know where to send correspondence. Following that, you'll provide bank information so that we can actually send you ACH payments or bank wires directly to your bank account, right? What we want to do is create a seamless process so that when donations come into Endaoment and you've already gone through the claim process and provided diligence, and we've done our due diligence, that you get an email that says, hey, you just got a donation for $50. Here is the donor's information if they chose to share it. We will be paying out that donation in the next 1 to 2 days. Expect to see an ACH payment in your bank shortly. We don't want to create additional work for nonprofits. We intentionally built this system so that there is no login process for nonprofits. There's no password or username you have to remember. If you are providing that information, your job in terms of getting in touch with us as a nonprofit is complete, and you can spend all of your time and resources into sharing information about the fact that your organization can receive donations on Endaoment, as opposed to figuring out the back-end admin of how we receive that donation, how we swap that donation, how we get that to you. That's for us to figure out. So you folks in nonprofits can do what you do best, which is be boots on the ground. And if you were the Dogs to Dog Tags Incorporated admin, helping save at-risk dogs and pair them with service members that have some form of PTSD. That is it for the presentation. Thank you all for being so attentive and chatting with us, or rather listening to us chat with each other. At this point, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you all. While we wait for any questions, it's interesting that the fact that this is so easy for orgs has led to a couple of very interesting occurrences in the past, hasn't it, Zach? Of here, we reach out to the org and say, hey, here is a donation of some crazy value. So let's say $1 million. And they're like, what? Where is this from? What's happening? So they really, it's so easy to the point where we handle all the work, like Zach mentioned, all the technical work, all the due diligence work, and it just arrives to the organization with you guys being able to focus on what both we care about and what you guys care about, which is doing your job, and really lends to these crazy situations where it seems it's so easy, quote unquote, easy money, that it really lends to some pretty awkward and funny situations that it's really great to see us helping and leveraging the system to bring that really in a fast manner to orgs.
Yeah, as I've said before, and not in this call, but in other calls, some of the best conversations that I've ever had, like the most fulfilling conversations, are calling up a nonprofit that we've never worked with before, but some donor has found them on Endaoment. I remember one in particular for a nonprofit land trust that was out in the Wyoming area, where I called them up. I said, hey, we're Endaoment. They were like, who are you and why are you calling us? I gave them our spiel. And I said, hey, we had a donor last week who came to us and made a $250,000 donation to your organization. As you can imagine, they were pretty thrilled. They sent Endaoment some like hats and T-shirts as a thank you, which is sweet. But just like one of the best conversations that I've ever had, because that was their introduction to cryptocurrency, which was so cool. Imagine being introduced to cryptocurrency by someone sending you money, right? But regardless of the way that you decide to interact with Endaoment, really appreciate all of your time and attentiveness. But I think I'll share one more story, which is about the Universal Impact Pool. What's been so cool to see is the way, and I sort of referred to this before, about nonprofits running all of their donation activity through Endaoment to take advantage of the Universal Impact Pool. But what's honestly even cooler to see is that there are organizations, DAOs in the nonprofit space, that see what we're doing with the Universal Impact Pool and are getting behind us and supporting us. A special shout out to the Nouns Foundation. The Nouns Foundation, or the Nouns DAO, is an organization that has raised a very large amount of Ethereum through selling NFTs and asking people to fund their activity. What they do on chain outside of branding and NFT sales is really to fund philanthropic-like ventures, which is fantastic. Sometimes that has been organization funding through endowment. Sometimes that has been funding individuals for their work outside of endowment. What they did a couple of months ago that was really wonderful was they decided that over the course of the next, I believe it was a 10-year contract, over the course of the next 10 years, they're going to fund the Universal Impact Pool every single month with 1 Ethereum, regardless of how much Ethereum is trading for at that moment, whether that's $2,500 or $4,500. Money is constantly flowing in to the Universal Impact Pool, making sure that we can keep making these quadratic grants. And it's just fantastic to see that there are folks both in the crypto space and then also in the donation space that are so excited about what we're doing. All right, we have a question. Are donors automatically receiving a receipt? So the answer is yes, unless they elect not to receive a receipt and click skip receipt. Receipts are automatically sent to them. They include the amount of cryptocurrency and the specific cryptocurrency that was donated, and also the amount that we were able to sell that cryptocurrency for and move into that organization's smart contract, essentially the amount that is available for payout. What's the minimum amount people can donate? Another excellent question. The minimum amount people can donate is 0. Really, the minimum amount people can donate is
0.000.
Yeah.
Even less than 1 cent, but yeah.
Well, they can donate less than 1 cent. We can't pay you out if it's less than 1 penny because we don't have US denominated anything that is less than 1 penny. But we have $0 minimums. There are, I want to make a special call out for, we do have some tokens that live outside of the Ethereum blockchain that we impose a $250 minimum on because there is some additional work required in order to receive them and liquidate them. That is the exception as opposed to the rule, because the rule is $0 minimums on donations, and coming out of a DAF, $0 minimum on grants to nonprofits. And anytime that someone's coming to us and they're like, I have $200 of Bitcoin, I don't meet the $250 minimum, happy to say to you all that we're always looking to make exceptions if those exceptions are in line with the things we want to support, because after all, we are a 501c3 ourselves, and we want to make sure that we are making donation activity as easy as possible. All right, those are all the questions that I see. So folks can hop to the other session because these 2 sessions are running in parallel, or can take a break and hang out in the lobby. We have our next session, Courting the Crypto Donor, starting at 2:35 Eastern, so that's in 15 minutes. Thank you all so much for coming. Looking forward to seeing you at the next session and at the networking session later on today. Appreciate your attentiveness and hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks so much.
Beautiful. Thanks all.